Displaying statistical data using Matplotlib. Statistics is not statistics without graphs. In this video, with the help of Matplotlib, a third-party visualization library, we will turn our processed data from this to this. Let's get started. Head back to your statistics in the real-world notebook. We'll continue working with the same datasets. Let's begin with this dataset again. Insert a cell right below this data so we can easily compare them. Before plotting your data, you have to understand your data and your purpose for making the graph. This will help determine the kind of chart you'll be using. Since our dataset here shows your friend's daily social media usage, some values appear a number of times. To show the frequency distribution of your friend's daily social media usage, the appropriate graph is the histogram. Now that we have our graph, we can start plotting by importing the Matplotlib package with its submodule pyplot. The pyplot submodule has the hist method that we can call to create a histogram. Here we have its parameters, the name of our dataset, the number of bins or bars in our histogram set at 8, and a black edge color of the bins. To display the graph, let's call the show method. Let's run this code and check how the graph looks like. It seems this graph is small and missing some labels. We can add labels using these methods. You can also adjust the size of the labels by setting the font size. For the size of the graph, we use the figure method. To implement the size change, this should be called before the hist method. Let's rerun this code. With labels, other people can know what this graph represents. But this graph is still missing some details. Let's apply the measures of central tendency and dispersion. How do we do it? We use the plot method to draw the lines representing the mean, mode, median, variance, and standard deviation of our dataset. We need to import Python's statistics module too. We'll need it to compute the measures of dispersion and central tendency. What does this line of code tell us? This pair sets the value and the location of the line in the graph. To get a straight line, the value should be the same. This pair is for the length or the height of the line. And the last pair is for the line format. We can also add a block of text on the graph so we can easily identify what each line represents with the text method. Let's run our code. Here's the histogram complete with measures. Just by looking at the graph, we can already identify if the data is spread out and where the centers are in the dataset. Now, let's plot the population of the Southeast Asian countries. Let's use a horizontal bar graph for this. First thing that we need to do is to declare the variables for the horizontal and vertical values, or the X and the Y. The country column of the C data frame is the X values, and the population column is the Y. To set the size of the figure and the title, we use these handy Matplotlib methods. As for the horizontal bars, the simplest way to draw them is to call the bar H method. All we need to do is just assign the declared variables as the parameters. Let's check the output. With this graph, we can quickly say that Indonesia's population is twice as many as the Philippines. When making graphs, like the horizontal bar, Sometimes you want to place labels or text relative to your data. To easily position your text and object in the graph or figure, we use the coordinate systems of Matplotlib. The fig keyword here represents the drawing window or the figure of the graph, while AX is for the coordinate system of this drawing window. With the subplots method, you can easily modify the look of your graph. Let's check our graph. Now, it's free from all the unnecessary details. It also has the values of each bar next to it. With a few additional methods, the graph looks more presentable and easier to understand. That's about it. In this video, we were introduced to Matplotlib. We learned how to plot the measures of dispersion and central tendency on a histogram. We also created a horizontal bar graph to compare the population of the countries in Southeast Asia. The course is almost complete. Continue working on your Python skills with the exercises and coding challenge after this video.